Hey, it's me here at the lock at the River Murray. Just got in the water and we are going to find a place to camp for the night. So I have to go away from the lock there because it is somewhat of a waterfall. And falling down a waterfall would be a poor start to the trip. So let's get moving. This is the River Murray anyway. It's probably 14 meters deep in the middle. It's pretty deep. Nice shallow sort of steep gradients down after sort of probably a couple meters either side of nice wading in areas. So if you look over there, it's too dense with vegetation for me to pull up to the point. What I need to do is I need to get around that weir, so I'll be landing somewhere and then walking up over there and then getting around on the other side and heading towards those cliffs. So let's get to it. This is the fun part, folks. Got to carry the boat along this track a little way. I know I'm stubborn, I probably could have just found a nice site, but I've got a site in mind, or a few sites in mind, so that's what I'm doing. Got to drag the boat back towards the lock. It's probably about 200 meters at this point. It just wasn't, the bank was just too steep to be able to lodge anywhere else, so let's get moving. This is a two-handed job, so I shan't be able to film. Check out this cool dried creek bed I've found. Just like river's just through there, so something must have happened. It must have been, my river must be slightly too low to get over that lip and bring it through. That's proper scorched earth dry, that is. This is the inlet for the dried creek bed before. It's actually got some pretty mucky water in there. Little footbridge even. Nice. But yeah, something under here is blocking it off. Probably on purpose, although still a little bit of damp there. And it quickly dries out. I assume these things are intentional, like humans sculpting the land to meet their needs, but there you go. Cool, man. Well, gotta grab that thing and keep hauling ass. Just disturbed old mate there, having a bit of a drink in that stanky water. Our natural, what's the word? Our native emblem. Geez, sorry about the camera shake, people. My arms are all shaky from dragging that fucking huge yak with all my shit in it. He's a nice kangaroo, hey? See if you can see his balls. Dick or fanny? Who knows? Attenborough, I certainly ain't. Sit rep, I can hear the very assuring sound of the lock crashing into the water below it. So I'll get to that, I'd say about 100 meters, then another 150 meters, and I'll be back in the water where I belong. Ow! Fucking ants. Australia's ants are the shittest ants. Fuck you all, I hate you. Especially you. Ow! Here we are at look 4. Those yellow bubbles there, the parts are supposed to go behind. That's where I get in over there. Then I went all the way up the river for about 300 meters and then back. So you're not supposed to go over those yellow ones because the current becomes quite strong, pulling you towards that sluice gate there. And I don't know about you, but being sluiced is not my cup of tea for an adventure. Would probably be an entertaining video though, if you're like, ah, sluiced! I would rather sit that one out. Another sign of man's domination over nature. However temporary that may be. Hidden meanings. And suddenly some kangaroo dung. That is a big ass kangaroo. That is a rather large kangaroo. I'm locking my elbows here for good focus. He's probably about 50 meters away from me. And the fact that he does not give a shit that I'm here probably means he's a tad, just a tad more confrontational than your average kanga. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to take a wide berth around him because they can get a little bit shitty when you like walk into their screwing grounds or whatever. So I don't know. Let's see what happens. Nope, he is not looking at me. Ants, man. Jeez, these ants just do not want me to film nature. Let me enjoy nature, you ants. I understand the irony being that ants are also nature, but no one likes ant nature. Everyone wants kangaroo nature. I got a little bit closer now, and he like literally reared up and was like, "Say what?" So I'm just gonna walk up to him and just like we'll start walking towards him. Hopefully he plays chicken first and fucks right off. If he charges the camera, then I will It's a bit concerning when they're super not bothered, unless he's like someone's pet kangaroo, but well. I think I can drag my boat through here. Perhaps I won't use that nice bit of road there that he's, let's be dramatic and say, guarding. So, alright, gonna go back and grab my boat and go the long way around, because he would be easily as tall as me if he stood up. Let's see if I can get him to stand up. I know this is a bit silly, but it's all for the viewers. Hey kangaroo, dude. Hey dude. Hey man. You all good? Man, he is tame, or just really not scared, or just really eating that grass. Look at him, he's like, nom nom. Sorry dude, I'll be with you in a sec, but this grass is amazing. Whoa, yeah. Not feeling super confident about kangaroo self-defense when I've got my little Falkniven F1 as my only sidearm. So, buddy, let's hope you just let me drag my boat by you in peace. Let's go. Yes, Mr. Kangaroo took the gentleman's route, decided not to beat me to death, and has henceforth fucked off into the scrub. So, winning. I think he might have thought my boat was like my giant tail or something. He probably thought I was a bigger kangaroo. Funny, we have this mixed view of kangaroos. Like we like them because they're our national, icon and symbol and stuff. But anyone who lives in the country kind of thinks they're wankers as well, because they cause these car accidents. They're a bit like moose or deer or whatever you have in America, or elk or whatever it is in Canada. It's kind of like you can admire their aesthetic beauty, and they're a lovely animal, and they're herbivorous, so they're not super dangerous. But then they're kind of assholes too, and just dickheads, because you'd think after how many years have roads been around? 100 years, 200 years? Evolved, damn it. We're probably not going anywhere for at least the next, let's say 50 years, just depending on who the Americans elect. But yeah, you'd think they would have learnt roads by now, but nope. You'll literally be driving and you'll see them on the side, make the choice. I choose death today, and jump straight in front of your car. It's happened to me probably 2 or 3 times. So, but anyway, car versus kangaroo, the car always wins. Kangaroo versus man, I'm pretty lucky I didn't have to see the outcome of that. Now let's get dragging. Almost there. I'm at the other side of the lock now. Let's swap over to the other camp. So that's the other side of the weir there. So the sign says no fishing, swimming or boating. Tell you what, lucky it doesn't say no birding, because those pelicans are like, we don't give a fuck. Yes. A little way further down. Now we're casting in once again. Hurrah! I tell you what, that is a sight for sore eyes and sore hands and mildly chafed part between my legs. Very, very nice. The river awaits me. This is my my vessel anyway. Here it is. Quite a simple one, no real compartments, just more of a surf ski type kayak, strapped to the important backpack on the back. That's got all my food and stuff in it. And then down the front, sort of my more, that's all my sleeping gear, so I guess I'd still be pissed if I lost that, but I think it'll be fine. I'd probably be able to make do. Yeah, pretty simple. That compartment in there I thought was waterproof, so I chucked the camera in there, but there seemed to be a bit of water in there already, which is what's ruined the camera screen of my Handycam. So, well, you win some, you lose some. I'm too happy right now to worry too much about anything getting lost, unless I lost my axe, because I did bring my Gransfors axe. I just couldn't leave it behind. What a good time to use it. And I think where I'm going, there's going to be lots of nice deadfall or standing dead, and not much else, so I'll kind of have to use some uber awesome bush skills. Could there be a cooler address in town? The house on the edge of the cliff, overlooking the river, watching me on my boat, kayaking about. That's so super cool. I'd build like they've built like a really super steep, scary, perilous ramp down. You can see that kind of fence there, so it kind of winds all the way down to the river for them, probably to that little lock-up point there. Man, that's cool. Good on them. People setting up cool little riverside getaways. Geez, just keeps spinning around towards the back where I came from. So nice cliff faces there. Amazing to think the river once ran all the way up to there. Thanks, Obama. Pelicans, literally the worst. Probably about 2/3 of the way to where I want to stay now. I've been rowing for about an hour and a half. Just getting that, I mean, I'm still recovering from fucking dragging this thing. That was easily the worst part of the trip, so hey. So I'm going to go a little bit more upriver. And I reckon around that bend, a couple more bends maybe, there'll be a little place that I reckon we'll pull in for the night. So long, Mr. Pelican. And here we are, a nice little beachy with a bit of foresty behind. I reckon that will be a fine place to pull in for the night. I'm just here in this little clearing between these trees. Don't want to stay in the stark sunlight of the main beach, but when I was here about 3 years ago, it was all just dead trees. I mean, that one must have been there, but all of these ones have shot up in about 4 years. Pretty flash. Lots of the dead ones are still sort of standing kind of in between them all. So that'll be my lumber for the evening. Oh, I'm puffed out. Now, first thing I always do, set up my tent first because it's the worst job, and then it's done. And you can do all the fun stuff after that. Let's get unpacking. This is my tent. This is the Wilderness Designs, Wilderness Equipment, dart tent. So it's kind of like your little one man with a little trellis there. Quite sort of, it's a bit more of a mountaineering tent, but it's ultra light. Like everything's titanium. Pegs are little aluminium pegs. Hammered in there. Very cool. Just the right size for one person. You could probably fit two in here if you wanted. Opening out. It's very thin ripstop nylon, the whole tent. So, a negative of that is that it is often getting caught in the zipper, which does drive you a bit crazy, especially in the middle of the night when you really need to get out for a piss. So that undoes all the way to there. I think it undoes all the way actually. And then the inside, of course, go. Yeah, it's not much, but it's home, and it's the whole tent weighs like 400 grams or something. It's crazy light, and packs down very small into that one little bag. So that's the tent. Just pitched a camp, sort of just kind of under like a relatively young tree that's very unlikely to drop on me. River's just there. Don't want to stand right on the river, and I've got a little bit of brush between me and the river as well, so that might just a little bit of wind protection, and also just I don't know. It's funny, you have that irrational fear of like a pair of losers coming past in the middle of the night and stealing all your shit or something. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'll probably still stick out like dog's balls in my giant yellow tent, but you never know. So that's that. And this is why I always preference my stainless survival knives. Like just kayaking, your bag just gets wet. It just does. There's very little you can do about it, but that's wet. It's penetrated right through there, and the front's gotten a bit wet too. I mean, I haven't paddled for that long for it to have gotten all the way through, but still, it's that kind of thing. You get to your camp, you're a bit tardy with getting all your stuff straight out of your bag, putting it in the sun to dry, and you know what have you got? You've got rusty knives. Not in this case though, because I think, as I said in my prep video, all stainless this time. So I've got my Leatherneck SF in 4116 stainless. Got my Light My Fire in the Sandvik 12C27. Silky saws, hard stainless steel. And of course, on my hip is the ever faithful Falcon Ribbon F1. Alrighty, settled for the minute. I've set up a tarp, done all that sort of usual stuff, got all my things in relatively reasonable positions. Shoes off. And here I sit. Geez, you get really tired and sort of cranky. You know, like it's funny the effect that being tired has on you. You just can't be bothered doing much at all. So here I am. That was worth the wait, that was really nice. So yeah, I have a really bad feeling that I used my Spyderco paramilitary to cut the kayak off the roof of the car, and then it went into my side pocket with my phone. As I was doing, taking out my phone and shooting stuff, it's not in my pocket anymore. So I've had the wife check the car, but I can just tell. I think it's been gone for a little while. I would have put it straight back in my pocket after using it on the car. Wouldn't have put it on the ground or anything. So I think it was probably at one point in the boat, but then would have gone in the drink, I think. So that's a bit of a bummer. My PM2. Really like that knife. Lucky I didn't bring the American Lawman, because that's actually my favourite. But I shan't let it spoil the trip. I've still got nature and goodness and gear to play with and all sorts of things going on, so not too bad. Let's have a bit of a look around the camp, shall we? So just look around the camp. This is where I'm sort of chosen to sit. Set up a tarp just here. Just tied it to a few of the trees. So that line's going to that tree there. Then down to a stick I made, peg I made with the Gransfors, into that tree there. So nice little shady space there, a little safe space for a little millennial like me. The tent's over there, just hanging out a few things to dry. The boat I kind of just use as a somewhat of a storage slash mini bar kind of thing. Just a nice non-sandy spot to keep everything. And the river's right there, so I'm just going to sit and chill and perhaps play my DS for a little bit, and then get my energy back and get to some fire prep. I reckon I'll put the fire just there. I reckon just a little one near enough to the tent, near enough to here. I may have cheese in a little bit for my lunch. Try and open this one-handed. Open this up. This is a Stanley food jar, and this keeps food hot for 12 hours. Really, really nice. That's some spaghetti bolognese or some penne bolognese in there. So, and yes, it is still nice and hot. Probably wouldn't have wanted to wait till dinner. It might have just been cooling off then, but yeah, definitely feel the heat coming off of it still. So it's just the same theory as a thermos, but because this is shallower, and you look at the thermos, the lid screws down to half, a third of the way into the bottle. So that's what keeps thermoses 24 hours kind of thing. In my thermos, I've just got some nice soup in case it's cold, in case I feel like that later. But this is going to be my lunch, and that's going to be really, really nice. Nature has provided me with this very nice downed dead tree, so I'm going to use my saw and my cold steel leather neck to process me some firewood. It's nice to set up camp early so you don't have to really rush this sort of stuff. That's when it starts to become less fun. This bit of wood to perhaps turn into a bit of a one-stick fire to start with. The rest of the stuff down there I reckon probably be my reserve kindling. All this stuff here, that's easily enough just broken up by hand. Why make it any more difficult for yourself? As fun as it is to use all your tools and stuff, really this is super dead, super flammable dry wood. So I reckon I'm just going to harvest this tree and make it into a little pile of twigs. I'm going to go get my firewood hauler. And that there looks like a very good feeder stick, so just want to gradually burn over the night. Start in the middle, or you can start at one end and just gradually work it through. A deceptively good splitting knife. Looks cannot always be trusted. This is very hard, very dead wood. Feels very, very sturdy doing this job. No doubts in my mind that it's going to do a Vox roll on me, that's for sure. And now for shits and giggles, going down some dead trees with a small forest axe. Got a fair bit of bouncing at that one. Hardly a giant sequoia, but a bit of fun nonetheless. Just doing a bit of the old water squeezing. I've just got a kind of a half full bag. It's really hard to get this bag full unless you're in really, really deep water. So just by the streamline you can sort of put it half in, jiggle it about a bit, and then it's about as good as I can ever get. But once you've got enough in there, you just give it a good squeeze. Kill for some ice right now, that's for sure. It's getting pretty warm. I'd say to be about 35 degrees, so much cooler than it has been. We've been in the mid 40s all week, so very, very hot March. I tell you what, it's halfway through March and it still feels like bloody January. Nasty, nasty, nasty. Alrighty. Look at all those ants helping themselves to a bit of my pasta. Enjoy, boys. It's like they don't know what to do with it. Crazy. You can actually hear them on the tarp. There's so many around here, so I'm probably gonna have to move my little spot because I don't think they're going anywhere and I don't think they're too bothered about me being here, so we'll see. I've sprayed some AeroGuard around the edge of the tarp, but they seem to have just crossed that with impunity, so I guess that's more for mosquitoes. Man, ants are so bloody angry. Like, it's just like, it'd be like, an ant is like the equivalent of me just walking along the ground, right? I get to a little hill and I just start randomly punching the ground of the hill. Because that's what the ant's like when it just starts biting my leg for no reason. It's like, fuck you! They must have crazy, like, ants must have crazy boundaries for their, whatever their territory is. This wood's not really working very well. It's super, super dry. Knife will definitely carve. It's just, yeah, I'm thinking more perhaps. These might just assist the kindling based fire that I intend to make instead, I think. Or the tinder based. Packed along some of my Vaseline soaked cotton balls. Classic. But they need something to take onto, so having a few of these sort of shredded sticks shouldn't be detrimental to the effort anyway. This knife is big. It's reasonable to work with at close quarters, but definitely best supported by a companion knife, I believe. Speaking of companion knives, keep an eye on the channel. I've got an SE3 on the way for that exact purpose, for these sorts of tasks when I've got a blade like this, or yes, my new A1, which I'm super excited about finally getting here. The guy, I ordered the A1 off an eBay store, and the guy actually phoned me, which was decent of him, rather than just sending an email. He actually phoned me and said, look, I'm really sorry, but when you bought the A1, there was a physical customer in store that was buying the A1 as well. And that's fair, I understand. They've got someone there in person. I'd probably give them preference as well. So I have to wait till one gets there from Sweden. But they, to keep me sort of on their lists and not from going to another eBay seller, sending on a DC4 sharpening stone as well. So that's quite nice. That's the Adventure Friends eBay seller or store. I think they're in Cairns. And whatchamacallit, they're yeah, pretty nice, and they're the Australian Falkniven dealer, so like they get the Falknivens before anyone else, sort of thing. So I figured I'd stay with them and, you know, give them the benefit of the doubt and all that sort of thing. And they've got good feedback, so it was just a truly freak little occurrence. So that's fine. So my A1 should be here. I'm hoping by the end of the week, maybe early next week. I'm on holidays at the moment, so it'd be nice if it came in while I was on holidays, so I had time to do a video on it, which would be cool for everyone. Bit of a sort of a chop down. You can get this embedded in the sand through to the harder mantle shelf sort of thing, and you can actually do a bit of splitting like that, which is kind of cool. Little shards, sort of give it a good whack. Rock it back and forth. Twist and pop that wood apart. Maybe not. Bit of a knock down the end, I think. So yeah, Paramilitary 2 might be lost. I'm yet to have a proper check through the car, and I mean, I probably will go back and like see the places I was on foot. I did take my phone out of my pocket to film that kangaroo, so maybe that was maybe it fell out there. But you know, you usually notice things when they fall out your pocket. So I don't know. I reckon it slid delicately out while I was in the boat, and then probably just jumped out the boat when I adjusted my seating or something. These things happen. This is just life, isn't it? But I think it's taught me a lesson about not bringing a why I brought a folding pocket knife, I didn't even know. Just following the principles of EDC kind of thing and always having it on me. But I had the Falkniven F1 on my belt, so it is kind of a pointless loss, which is probably what stings the most. I didn't even really have a need for bringing it. I just kind of brought it because I like carrying it, which is a perfectly valid reason. But you know, you look back on it now and everything sucks a little bit about it. But as I said, not letting it spoil my trip, because it may well not be lost. I should really start getting my knives engraved, but I mean, then it hurts the resale. So I think the Paramilitary 2 was fairly safe. Who knows? Anyway, I'm pretty happy with this leather neck. I have a feeling I'm going to like the A1 a bit more, probably just because it's more prestigious. But this steel, this 4116 steel on this leather neck, it's really, really sharp still. It's weird. On a folding knife that cuts, I guess it's because it's not cutting anything fibrous apart from, I guess it's splitting wood generally with the grain. So, but I mean, if you put this on a folding knife, it'd be dull straight away, because just cutting paper and stuff just destroys, paper and cardboard just destroy knife edges. But this is just holding up really, really well. So, I'm very, very happy with it. Alrighty, fire time. Ooh yeah. I reckon I'm going to boil up my water and make some coffee. So to do that, I've set up a rudimentary fire platform out of green wood, and then I've got my little bits of shaving-y sticky thing to take on the flame from my tinder box here. This is the Pelican 1020 micro case, still going strong. Grab some of my Vaso cotton balls. The method I'll use today, I'll use a fire steel because I'm camping and because I'm bushcraft something. Quite an enjoyable method really, especially when it just takes off. When you start fucking around with it and it just doesn't happen, it can get kind of annoying, but I've got pretty high hopes for this this little setup here. Hey, there we go. Best thing about a fire platform is it allows air to be drawn up from underneath the platform as well, so everyone's a winner. Get a nice hasty flame there. It's the Light My Fire Scout fire steel that I was using then. Do you have the saying white rabbits when apparently the smoke's blowing towards you? You need to say white rabbits. Is that something everyone does, or is that just like an Australian thing? Or curious to know. It's a shitload of sticks around really. It's like I always say, we just don't need those big old survival knives for splitting, because generally all your kindling's on the floor. I kind of just do it for fun because I'm out here by myself and got no one to talk to, so I figure I might as well talk to you guys while I do some basic camp craft, you know. So yeah. Best thing about this location is it's on a beach, so it's pretty clear all around. Not really any chance of it spreading unless I get a rager going, which I'm not going to, because I don't need this fire for anything but for cooking really. Warmth is not an issue right now. In fact, it's the last place I really want to be, is near this fire. So I'll set my clean canteen up to start boiling. That shouldn't take too long doing that. It takes a bit longer being a tall, slender thing. You need like a nice wide flat pan to get water really going quick, but probably with the sticks that are on there now, that should boil that water up. Now I get myself a cup of coffee. It also has some anti-bug impacts as well, having a nice little fire like this. Bit of smoke. I'll chuck some leaves on there if the mozzies get too annoying, and it does generally piss them off pretty well, so also a good reason to have a fire. So it's 4 o'clock now. Probably got another 4 hours of daylight really, or maybe 3 till 7, so might go and dick around in the woods once I've had my coffee. We'll have a look. And there we have the fire on the fire platform, sizzling away. You just put your clean canteen right next to it and it'll do the job. That there should probably get it boiled. That marking that's forming on the side of the clean canteen, that's not permanent, that goes away. You can scrub that off, and it doesn't alter the structural integrity of the steel at all. These are well proven bushcraft and outdoor boiling flasks, the clean canteens. Not to worry at all there. So there's a healthy little fire going on a little platform, going so well because it can suck air up through these bits underneath, so it's got kind of a venting system. So it really gets going quickly on a little greenwood platform. And eventually the platform becomes fuel itself, but it just takes probably a few hours for all that moisture to fizzle out of there as well. So quite a good little setup. Alrighty, and this is why you bring a multi-tool when you go camping. Just for that one reason though. And it truly is very much worthwhile. Alrighty, so a little bit for the coffee. Where's the tricky part? Okay. A little bit for coffee. The rest I'll go and cool down for drinking. That's how I cool down my drink bottle, just in case I don't know, the current decides to grab it. The river's really, really still today, but in case the current decides to grab it, we'll have to take this big dead tree with it. So, just an idea. I strongly recommend Robert Tim's coffee bags for just for camp coffee at the very least. It's actually really quite nice. It's not too watery if you leave it long enough. And yeah, obviously it's like all in one, so you don't have to worry about little sachets of powder and stuff. And yeah, you just burn the little wrapper in the fire once you're done and it's all good. Then burn the tea bag and no worries at all. And yeah, it's reasonable quality coffee. The only other option is bringing instant in little sachets or bringing like a percolator, which is awesome, but not my cup of coffee or tea. What's the actual hell? I was cutting some wood just then. It's fairly hard. What the fuck? What is going on? There's clearly like a crack that had formed in the handle. I mean, I'm probably just going to glue that back on and it'll probably be fine. But like, really? Really? I mean, I could take care of this axe. I'd keep it oiled. That is a bummer. That is properly a bummer. I mean, it's a very clean break. Like, it's obviously, the wood had a crack in it somewhere. Yeah. Didn't hit it or anything. I was literally just chopping. And when my hand flew back on it, that just came with me. So, jeez. First the Spyderco, now this. This is this has got elements of disaster written on it. It's true. What's going to happen next? Christ. The boat's going to sink on the way back, I bet. Ah well, it's all part of it. Alrighty, so let's look at this. It looks like, because it fits back together perfectly well, pretty much. I'm probably just going to wood glue it and just hope for the best, because I can't be bothered. Like, the handles fit so well to the head, like nothing else is the problem, and that's just bizarre. And the wood glue will actually make it a fairly strong join, so I'll just have to do that when I get home. But yeah, it looks like, I guess a crack's probably formed, I guess over time, probably from the eye, I would say, like the lanyard hole maybe, that being a bit of a weak point. Yeah, just clove straight off. Like, you can see the wood's really still pretty impregnated with linseed. Like, it's a well treated handle. It's just really disappointing. Very, very disappointing for it to happen on a trip like this. I mean, that wood was pretty hard that I was chopping, but the blade was fine with it. Just the handle. What? At any rate, not the end of the world. Certainly, it's like if the blade had broke, I'd be devastated. But blade's fine, obviously. It's just the wood. I guess it's a living substance. It's, you know, always going to be slightly different. Ah well, let's see what happens next. When you take a look at this tree, you start to realise why there was a higher chance of that wood shattering my boca like it did. You look up through, you just look how it's twisting around, like through it's really hard to grow in Australia, I guess. There's not much water, so the things that have evolved to grow are like, they're growing like despite nature trying to stop them. Just like, fuck you nature, I'll grow all twisted and shit, whatever I need to do to stay alive. You get those nice trees everywhere else where there's lots of rainfall, lots of snow. They develop, you know, nice, you know, angular leaves and things that shed the snow. This is what's developed in Australia. These gnarled, pretty tall gum trees with the leaves, like, they burn and then they grow back stronger because there's so much fire here. So the leaves are like oily, so the tree burns easier. It's insane. So you look at wood like that twisted bit of wood there, and you realise that, yeah, betoning wood generally isn't an ideal outcome to be using for your fire prep. Now, you could fill a thimble with everything I know about tracking, but those are some kangaroo tracks. So just 2 feet close together, strong toe, heel touching afterwards. That's a bit of both because the sand's pretty soft. heading off to get a drink from the river. And these are the tracks of the arse monkey, which bounces around on its arse. You can see one cheek there and the other cheek there. And this one must be a girl, because the boy ones, they leave a bit of a mark there where its twig and berries was. So I think I've just overflowed my thimble worth of tracking information there. Oh, and that's probably a dinosaur as well. More of concern is this track here. What would leave a long track like that, do you think? Either a one-legged kangaroo or a kangaroo that's learnt to travel on its tail, which is unlikely, or probably a snake. Fairly certain snake tracks tend to shake from side to side, but it's definitely someone's track. The sand's not done that itself, so who knows. Alrighty, hopefully I'm in frame. Can't really tell with the camera, as I've said a few times. Just going to try feathering another stick just to, because I've got to start the fire again. I let it go out because it was like 3 o'clock or something, and there's the resources around, but then you spend the whole time just slaving away for your fire. So I just let it go and thought, oh, it's easy enough to start another one. So there we go, this one's working a little bit better. I think the wood's a bit straighter. It's a nice little combustible swirls of wood. It's always, I'm always thinking, oh, I should really be collecting all those ones that drop, but I just don't. It's quite a little oodly doodly bit of feather wood there. This is a really, really good knife, guys. Like this leather neck. The looks put people off because they think, it's a K-bar knockoff and it's got a cross guard. But I mean, if I was only allowed one and this was the one that I got stuck with, I wouldn't be unhappy. It is definitely a good knife. And as I said, the steel, you think, budget steel, crappy, you know. It's the same as 420HC. Steels are different when they're being used for fixed blade applications. They really are. It's if it's not coming into contact with abrasive materials like everyday carry knives do, I can see why they make everyday carry knives out of your super steels and things. It's just a little bit too, you know, you'd be sharpening it all the time, because things like cardboard really do mess up an edge. Like, it's fine, but yeah, with knives like this, wood doesn't really do too badly to a knife's edge. Like this would still be, it's still shaving sharp, and I've been using it all day. Like and that's the part that I've been push cutting on. Like it's no worries at all having cheaper steel on your large survival knives. In fact, cheaper steels generally have less of that super hardness, awesome stuff in them to make the edges last for ages in like abrasive materials. So they're generally a bit more prone to being roughly used. Like I see there's some like S35 VN survival knives going, and I just think, I don't know, like I reckon that would be more inclined to fail than this nice cheap stuff. And the edge, you're not really going to be using that steel for anything that you need long-lasting, long edge-holding steel. Because edge-holding steel is like, you know, it's edge-holding against, they use things like cardboard to test the edge and stuff like that. Whereas fixed blades, unless you're going to be cutting cardboard and stuff with your fixed blade, which you're probably not, any knife will really hold an edge. Like unless it's a really, really horrible pot metal, even these, I mean, this is a cutlery grade steel. It's used for scalpels and stuff, like 4116. It's obviously going to be fine for cutting wood. Like it just doesn't seem like an issue that people make it out to be. I would never upgrade this to D2, like especially given my recent experience with D2. But this is just fine, and as long as it lasts a trip, as long as the edge remains workable for a trip. Isn't that all you need? And I mean, you can always bring your sharpening stone. Like that's why I brought that little I brought a little diamond sharpening stone with me today, because I thought, you know, the leather neck might go a bit dull, but it's just not, because it's the materials you use a knife on that make them go dull. and wood is not a very dulling material. Cardboard, for sure. Even thick paper, for sure. Tape and things like that, which gammy up edges, and then you sort of over clean them to fix it. Yeah, all that sort of stuff adds sort of microscopic damage faster than this does, I guarantee you. I am definitely an advocate for the leatherneck. Only thing it could be better at is the chopping, but then it's not that large. It's not a big thick, for a 7-inch knife blade to be a chopper, it needs to be made to be a chopper, and this one is just made to be general utility / combat. So the fact it does 2 out of 3 of these typical woods tasks really, really well is I think a fantastic deal. That should be enough feathers for now. Let's get a fire going. Well, see how these feathers are going. I can't promise that I'm going to see this through, but let's try lighting. Let's move these to the side for a minute. Oh, still got a few smoulders there. In fact, they might even just light off of that. Although no, the cotton balls were on that and they didn't light. So let's get some of these feathers, let's break them off. Let's try sparking these to life. I don't think they're quite thick enough or plentiful enough to be able to get a super cool bushcraft feather stick fire. But hey, if you guys want that sort of shit, go and watch MCQ Bushcraft. He is not a common man like I am. But I am plan ahead man. So I made those bad boys for just this type of quandary. Let's set it up nicely so it can go straight into burning some wood. It's weird, I feel really unco using it with the other hand. Okay. It's always that panic every time. Oh my god, have I got enough? Have I done enough? What? It's always fine. Tell you what, reflections from this trip. If I'm going to take a pocket knife, I'll put a lanyard on it. I'm going to backtrack tomorrow a bit and see if it's not in the river, see if it was out near that kangaroo or something like that. I was going to go further towards Loxton, which is the next town up, but I think it's worth backtracking. I'd hate to think of that paramilitary. I'd love to be able to know, yep, I checked where I walked, and I'm pretty sure it's not just on the ground for someone else to pick up and have an awesome $240 knife. So I'll go and do that, and if it's not, you know what, it's not. I've still got a really good folding knife. The Code 4 and the Dragonfly 2 and all that sort of thing, and you know what, it's a thing. It's done me, it's given me enjoyment for a few months. But yeah, it's just a thing. It's not the end of the world. It's and this trip has been nice. It's been nice to get away and nice to not be at work and not thinking about work things. So definitely still worth it. The Gransfors axe I'll fix. I'll glue that back together, and that'll be fine for me. I could definitely never resell it now, but I don't think I was ever going to anyway. As I said in that video the other day, definitely a safe tool, and I still love it. And it's not, geez, it's not a warranty issue for Gransfors or anything. That's luck, isn't it? It's just luck. And I'm starting to think that here in Australia, our conditions put a lot more stress on gear than all the other reviewers. So if you get a product that you see on my channel that I say is good, I would say that providing I've actually taken it out and used it, and I'm not just doing a tabletop sort of thing, which sometimes I do, I would say that that's a fair endorsement, because I'm using it against stuff that snaps spokers and cracks Gransfors handles and things like that. So, smashes cold steel Bushmans, all that sort of thing. So, I don't know, we live in a pretty rough, harsh kind of country, so everything that survives here has to be rough and harsh. So that extends to the gear that we use here. I suspect the gear that we use outdoor needs to be rugged, rough, tough. So if it survives the Cedric and Ada Gear and Outdoors challenge, then I would say it's done pretty well. One thing I forgot to bring today was gloves. Well, I didn't forget, because Cedric, I'd left my shed door open because Ada likes to sleep in the shed. I don't know. That's fine, I don't really have a problem with it. And all my stuff was completely untouched. But then Cedric obviously realised that the leather, I don't know what it is with him and leather stuff, but I guess he can still perhaps tell it's an organic sort of beef related substance, because he found my leather glove and he ate them in the backyard and just left the cotton liners, or the fleecy liners. And I was going to go to work and get my other ones, but I didn't end up doing it, so oh well, not to worry. Well, the fire is looking good. I shall get my cooking going. I do hope if you're watching this one, I do hope you forgive me, but I'm very much not sure if my handycam's even working or not. So I'm going to kind of do backups of everything. I just had a lovely fireside chat with myself just about the trip so far and that sort of thing. Just remarking that it does seem very much like Australia, our land and our trees and everything about us is very much, I don't know, just stubborn and tricky and harsh. I like thinking about that tree the other day, and I dare say that gear here, if it's any good after what I've done with it, I would say that's a pretty reasonable endorsement. Not to blow my own horn, I'm certainly not the best gear reviewer in the world, but I would suspect if it survives me using it on Australian hardwoods, like the wood over there that cracks the Gransfors handle, and the wood that smashed the Boca Vox roll in half, and the wood that the Cold Steel Bushman failed on, and all that sort of thing, I would suspect that, yeah, I think it's probably a pretty good endorsement, which is why the Leatherneck is it's really, really, I'm so happy with it. It's, I was shaving wood before with it, and I'm just so hoping that's on that camera. I was shaving wood before with it, and it just was just destroying it. And for a 4116 steel, it's just, it makes me think about large blades and just how much the steel does not matter. As long as it can take an edge. My theory is that wood isn't particularly hard on an edge at all. I would suspect that cardboard and the everyday carry stuff, which everyday carry knives come up against, is much, much harder, and therefore those super steels with the ultra long edge holding capabilities probably warranted. But this is still shaving sharp. Like, let's have a look. Like, and that's the part that I was using to do the feather sticks. Like, it's crazy. It just doesn't matter, does it? Like, this is one of the cheaper stainless steels. It's probably on par with like basic 440 or something, but it's tough and it's holding an edge on the outdoors related tasks. So what does it matter? I wouldn't upgrade this to D2, or I probably wouldn't even pay an extra $300 for it in 3V. Like, it's doing the job. It's tough enough to baton. It's staying sharp to make feather sticks, which caused that fire. And it's also, yeah, it's an adequate chopper. Like, it's not amazing, but the things like the Falkenhaven A1, which has the much thicker spine, that's made for chopping, so I would assume it would be better. But for a combat utility knife, the Leatherneck is just, yeah, I can't endorse it enough. It's just done really, really well. Never would have thought it, and good on old Killer Deegan for getting me onto this, old mate. It's, yeah, very, very happy with it. Definitely staying. Let's cook some dinner. Well, that was tasty. Just having my soup now. It's the kind of thing, yeah, I guess I should drink it, but it's really still quite warm, and it's actually making me a bit sweaty, but it's all good. Just morale, and it's just nice. It's a bit of a struggle when you're by yourself, I must say. Like, it's there's lots of time where you're just kind of sitting and your mind just wanders a bit, which is nice, as long as you can adequately separate the reasons you wanted to get away with getting away, I suppose. I wish I can, which is fine, but I mean, you could definitely, if you're a stressed person, say you're stressed out about your job, you'd come out here by yourself and you'd be all like, now I've got all this free time, my job's crazy, I hate it, oh, I can't get back. So yeah, it's a bit of a funny one. I don't really come away often by myself. I usually try and rope a friend in or something, so not too bad. It's yeah, you just kind of do the things that you feel like, I guess I'm camping, so now I should make soup, and I'm camping, so now I should have a fire, and I'm camping, so now I should filter some more water, and they're all just nice tasks. I guess it's like for a day or two, going back to like a really simple existence where resources was your life, like not as in money to buy the resources, but actually seeing to the actual resources, seeing to your actual food where things, because you don't have conveniences, takes a while. Like even my water, like I can't just go to the river and fill up my bottle and drink it, like as in going to a tap and turning it on. I have to, there's steps to every process, like making a fire. I guess I could have brought fire lighters, but you know, you make the feather sticks, you get your tinder, there's steps to everything. And I think that's what's so cathartic about coming away. The tasks that you take for granted every day are all of a sudden worthy of attention. And I quite enjoy that. Like it's nice to, it's such a cliche, but it's just, life is simpler. And it's just nice to have, you wouldn't want to live like this all the time. Like there's a reason that we have technology, but it's just nice to clear everything up and just spend a day just getting food, water and shelter over you. It's nice. Quite good. Yeah. You can probably see the light's starting to retreat now. Fire in front of me is going alright. This is about as big as I'll get it. So yeah, probably a bit more of a sit, bit of a look into the fire, and then I don't know, it'll be dark then. I might even go for a wander and see if I can see some eyes looking back at me with my head torch here. Don't know. See how we go. Cool. Well, that'll do us for now. Look at that gum just sizzling all that oil out. Crazy. That fresh wood's finally starting to, I think that's one of the fresh, oh no, that's actually a log that I put on. Geez, that fresh stuff's going to go nuts. So that's a dead, very dead log from those pieces there. So yeah, the other ones are probably going to be spitting sideways and everything. Fantastic. Little creepy critter come out to play. It's funny, I just shine my head torch around and I just see the glow of his eyes. I don't know if I'll pick it up. I'll stand back a bit, see if you can see it. No, light's not doing it, but with my own eyes you see these little twinkles. I'm like, oh, I wonder what that is. Maybe it's something I've dropped. And you walk up to it and it's a spider. There we are, that's the other sand spider. So I shine my torch out across this sand, and there are little twinkling little eyes looking back at me everywhere I go. And they are these little sand spiders, just like that. Very, very cool. But yes, well worth putting a touch of AeroGuard and definitely zipping up the tent.